Hey guys, your friend Longhammer here, coming at you today with an O9S guide. Been having a lot of requests for it lately, so I figured I'd go ahead, better late than never. Let's get you taken care of. A lot of times when I come into a party finder group, I see no direction. It's just total fucking mayhem. So I'm gonna get you through this. We are gonna see that loot at the end of the tunnel. So walk in there like you own the fucking place, and we're going to put down an A, B, C, D marker. Now, a lot of times, people try to put these in the cardinal spots. Myself, I prefer inner cardinal. I find it a lot easier. So that's the guide that we're going to go with today. So let's go ahead, have everybody break off to their positions. And it just should be two per letter. Nothing fancy. Guinness over there being stubborn. So this will be the layout for most of the fight. Most of the mechanics can be solved by just going to these letters. And throughout this video, you'll go ahead and see that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you, there's a mechanic later on in the fight called Earthquake. These markers will be for that. If you want to rewind later, come back, look at these. It would just be you go into these markers. Just real simple. And for the bulk of the fight, or for the entire fight actually, we're going to keep these markers right here in the middle. No reason to move them, don't need to go doing anything fancy. Just line them up, let them sit there. And let's go ahead and get right into our first set of mechanics. So, I'll tell you off the bat, this fight, it's pretty much two halves of a fight, depending on which move the boss does first. Here you see him doing Damning Edict, so this would be the first path he could go down. Everybody just comes up behind, and he would go into his Blaze route. And let's take a look at the other one. The other mechanic he could start the fight off with, I know it says the boss is at 39, but because the fight is just two halves, it may do one half of the fight first, may do one half of the fight later. Could be whichever. You see the boss channeling Longitudinal Implosion. This is a pretty easy one to deal with. He's just going to do an AoE. They're going to be conals. If you see long, I think about it like I'm going to run long. So you can see me running to the safe spot here. He blows it up, and we run to the other one. You might also see latitudinal explosion. That's no big deal. You just do the opposite. Front and back would be safe on that. I remember it like the lats or the backs. Just get to the back if it is the lat. And with this route, his next move he would go into is to Tsunami. But let's go ahead and shift back over because that's the way we recorded it today. So, Damning Edict comes out, we all get behind the boss. And we go directly into the Blaze mechanic. As you can see, also, I have this boss pulled up a little farther. It helps out a little bit with positionals of your melee, and it maintains uptime. This is, of course, for just the standard 2 melee, 2 range comp. If you pull the boss up like this and you have 3 melee, somebody's going to be pissed off. So just do it as you will. And you can see Blaze coming out here. And buff, or debuff rather, comes up on everybody in the party. Basically what this buff is going to do when it ticks off here, it just creates a point blank AoE explosion around your body, and anybody caught in that is going to get knocked. Boss immediately goes into Longitudinal Implosion. We just go ahead and solve that. Once again, he does both. And you can see the DPS over here still has their buff. they go ahead, hit up those outside corners. And as you can see here, where you run out is just the markers we had set up at the very beginning. Nothing big. And throughout the fight, you're going to see the boss using chaotic dispersion. That's just tank buster. It's going to be one of those tank busters where he's going to hit you, put the debuff on you. So make sure your co-tank is Voking it and have that shirk ready to rock. Once again, he's going to go into another blaze. Toss a quick shake it off to help out those healers. And there is that entropy. The red man. Once again, go to your sides. They blow up. And we see a little different here. He's going to do circles around everybody. So you're going to pair up with your buddy. And just a little shared debuff there. And DPS stay out, support comes in. Stay at the letters. It's nice, safe sound in the middle there. Big bang attack. Basically snapshots where the damage occurred on the knockdown, where we had those stacks. It's just going to do a little knock up there. You see these 4 balls come out and they just do line AoEs. It's just a little bit of dodging. There's certain spots that you can stand where you really don't have to move at all. Just go ahead, find those or dodge those. It doesn't matter, whichever you're comfortable with. Now this starts the Cyclone phase. As you're going through it, Blaze will always be paired with Cyclone. It'll always go Blaze, Cyclone. So, you know what you're getting. Cyclone comes out, and we take a look at the buffs. You can see it's broken in half. The support have a buff called Tailwind. The DPS have a debuff called Headwind. Basically what this is going to mean, upcoming here shortly, the boss is going to do a knockdown move that you're either going to have to face the center of the arena or face away from the arena. So he's going to go ahead, do a big angry Hulk smash across over there. Don't want to be too close to it. We can go ahead and utilize this square as kind of a good spot where to stand. You can see these arrows coming out. That's just signifying the knockbacks are coming. Also, if I failed to mention it, the support is going to want to face away from the middle. DPS are going to want to face to the middle. And here we go. If you do happen to fuck it up, you're going to be sent probably about 50 feet off that edge. But at least you know where you went wrong and you can correct it in the next run. Also make sure when you get knocked back, that's kind of why I mentioned that square. Let me rewind you just a tiny bit here. If you're standing on this square, you'll get knocked behind him, which will go ahead and resolve that mechanic automatically. Nothing you have to do there. We'll see another tank buster coming up here in a second. There she is. Do a little Vogue Shirk. And the boss is going to channel another Cyclone attack. If you check over on the left-hand side there, once again, the DPS buff and the support buffs always going to stay the same. So don't panic thinking you might have something different. If you are a tank or if you are a healer, you will always face away from the middle. DPS, sorry, you're going to have to turn around, maybe miss a swing on the boss, but as is life. Now during this part, you can see some AoE markers come out on the healers there. They're going to take those away from the party, and they do still have to resolve their mechanics. So they're facing towards the edge right now, but to the middle. Knockback happens. And the boss goes to channel Big Bang Attack. You can see the first instance of tethers will be coming out here. These are no big deal. Tanks just pick them up like any other tether in the game. Pop a cooldown. I usually, during this part, I give a Vengeance and a Thrill just to kind of buffer against the auto attacks that come afterwards. And we got a whole bunch of auto attacks. And then we'll be going into our intermission phase. Boss is going to be channeling a move called the Bowels of Agony. It's basically going to bring everybody down to low HP. Some might call it 1 HP, but that's pretty low. Now, healers don't have to worry too much about healing like crazy. It is important to note scholars or astros running the shield sect do not throw out shields here. I'll show you why here in a moment. So here's our DPS check. It's the Dark Crystal. We just slap that bad boy around a couple of times, and we'll go ahead and look over here at the buffs, or debuffs rather, that are on the party. A couple of these will look familiar, a couple will not. We'll probably go into them a little more in depth later on. First one being the Blaze. If you remember me saying earlier, the Blaze is going to knock anybody back that gets hit by it. So what we're going to want to do is set up right behind the DPS so we get knocked back. And as you can see as well here, all the support are looking away from the crystal there so that we can deal with our headwinds, or tailwinds rather. So we get knocked back by the stray flames, and just easy mode, come back, stand on this square, and you're going to see a little AoE donut of water come, and it's going to hit all the DPS here. That's just going to bring him down to 1% or 1 HP, and that's to deal with this earthquake mechanic here that we'll go over a little more in depth later. And then at this point, healers, you can go ahead and top people back up. And we're going to beat the shit out of this little crystal in the middle. Don't have to do anything crazy. Use a cooldown if you want to. Do a little shielding. Boss does his move. And we're going to go into the last 50% of the fight. This one just so happens to be starting off with longitudinal. You see me going ahead long. Front and back's going to blow up, and then they switch. Now I do like to pull the boss here a little bit. That just helps me get it into position for the next move he does. Tsunami goes out. Don't have a really good look at it here, so I'm just going to let the video play a little bit. You're going to want to make sure the whole party is stacked up real nice and tight. Super tight butthole here. Boss jumps away. Explosions happen. You can see him channeling the damning edict again. We already know, hey, get behind him, and everybody gets tight. We have a little better picture of it here. Whenever you have the blue man stacked nice and tight, there's going to be a debuff around you like you saw in the crystal phase, that when it hits 0, there's going to be a donut AoE. So just make sure everybody's inside that or way out of it. Go ahead and recenter the boss. I turn the boss here so that the melee can maintain positionals during this part and still be centered up. It tends to help a little bit. Get a lot of thank yous there. Just a standard buster again, nothing crazy. And he's winding up another tsunami. The blue mans go out. And you can see a debuff, or the AoE marker goes back on the healers. You can see Low Authority here ran up to the north. Lyrith is running down to the south. Just put those right on the edges. Healers, you probably want to talk about them beforehand. Communication, key in rating. Everybody else, tight butthole, dead in the center there. Perfect. Now, he is channeling another Big Bang attack here, which just originates from those AoE markers. If you check out Flanker, he's out a little bit far here and just fucks up this mechanic, gets knocked up into the sky. That's what happens if you do that wrong. I'm going to go ahead, deal with these tank tethers. I just give it a rampart on my end. No crazy damage. And we pull it to the edge to deal with the final set of mechanics. Boss is channeling Earthquake. It's another raid wide. And with this set of debuffs that come out here for Earthquake, you can see the healers and the tanks have one that looks like just a little bit of rocks sitting there. All you have to do for that debuff is just top them bad boys up. And as far as the DPS go, we already dealt with it in the video, but I'll go a little more in depth for you guys. Basically what you're going to want to do is bring your HP down to 1. And being that he only does one move here, this is how we're going to deal with it. You see a latitudinal implosion. DPS, you're going to think like assholes, do what you do. Let's get hit by it. So, being latitudinal, DPS are going to be on the side so they can get hit by the mechanic. So it gives them the magic vuln up, and then get hit by it again to bring them down to that 1 HP we're looking for. Now, let me wind this back a tiny bit. When I was talking about topping up earlier, I got a little smidgen of HP. Boss don't fucking care. Again, is dead. So that's what it looks like if you fuck it up. And we'll go ahead and take a look here what it should look like if everything is done properly. So, again, it was topped up fine. Everything's good. Everybody's alive. This is one take. Trust me. Earthquake channeling. And if you remember earlier, we put the markers along the edge of the arena to signal where people were running. This is where that comes into play. As you can see, 2 people per circle marker. And the casters out here, they're both using sure cast, so they don't have to worry about the knockback. That's coming. We get knocked back, take it together, because we're best friends. And the magic vuln goes out, and they keep hanging out for Big Bang attack. Make sure you only get hit by 1 of those. If you get hit by 2, it will kill you, because it's 2 instances of damage. At this point, we killed the boss. You'll see a tiny bit more fight possibly in the party finder. There's just going to be these 4 orbs. We do the same dodging that you did in the Blaze phase, and then he goes into his Enrage cast. With that Enrage cast, it is going to be Blaze, followed by Tsunami, Cyclone, then Earthquake. You just deal with those pretty much as you would the prior phases. Blaze, make sure you spread out. Tidal Wave, stack up. Cyclone, there's not much you can do about it. Just heal up, shield up, do what you can to get a little bit more DPS out. And by the time you get to Earthquake, that is pretty much the end of it. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Good luck in your clears, and hopefully you'll get some good drops. Thank you.